Scarlet and Violet is probably the most controversial generation for competitive Pokemon singles ever. The main singles format, Scarlet and Violet OU, has had over 20 bans, and many, myself included, still want more. The power creep has been truly insane. Terra makes sweepers in SV the most threatening by far of any generation. The Paradox Pokemon all have insane stats and access to booster energy to push those stats even further. Crazy new abilities like Good as Gold and insane new moves like Ceaseless Edge are a factor as well. Even those that enjoy the chaos of SVOU admit that it has balancing issues. The two biggest issues people complain about are the prominence of hazards and the strength of sweepers with Terra. It's not hard to see where the hazard problem came from. Hisuian Samurott can set multiple layers of spikes just by spamming a powerful stab move with no immunities. Ting-Lu is extremely bulky and can often get up Stealth Rock and multiple layers of spikes before being KO'd. Gholdengo's Good as Gold is the first ability ever that can block Defog, a move that clears hazards on both sides of the field, and on top of Good as Gold being added, Defog distribution was slashed. All the Pokemon that can threaten Gholdengo that learned Defog in previous generations, like Moltres, Gliscor, and Landorus, just to name a few, don't get Defog anymore. Now, we did gain a few new Rapid Spinners. Rapid Spin is a normal type move that removes hazards on the user's side. The problem is that it can be blocked by any ghost type, and Generation 9 introduced some insanely bulky ghost types like Sinistcha, Pecharunt, and, once again, Gholdengo. Distribution of spikes was also massively increased. They were handing that move out like candy on Halloween. Basically, removing hazards got way harder, and stacking hazards got way easier. It's not hard to see why some complain. The second issue, Terra Sweepers, is similarly easy to understand. A Pokemon changing its type offensively can allow it to one-shot a Pokemon that previously hard-countered it, or you can Terra defensively to use stat-boosting moves even more. Terra was balanced for doubles, where setup and setup sweepers are a lot more difficult to pull off. In singles, where you can Terra to respond just to the single Pokemon in front of you, it gives sweepers an insane advantage. What if I were to tell you that there was a Pokemon that could help a lot with both of these problems, but for some reason, we banned it from the tier? You'd probably say, wow, that seems like a poor decision. And I'd agree. Terapagos is a normal type with an impressive 600 base stat total, but balanced stat distribution. Its signature move is Terra Starstorm, a 120 base power special normal type move. It also has incredible coverage, getting moves like Ice Beam, Flamethrower, Earth Power, Thunderbolt, Aura Sphere, and more. It also has access to lots of great utility moves like Toxic, Stealth Rock, and most notably of all, Rapid Spin. It notably does not have recovery other than rest. Its ability Terra Shell is basically Dragonite's multi-scale on steroids. When Terapagos is at full health, any attack that hits it will be not very effective. Even a fighting-type move, which would normally be super effective against normal, will be not very effective if Terapagos is at full health. Seems like an ability that would be incredibly useful against unpredictable sweepers, doesn't it? And yeah, it is. You're currently watching background footage of some Terapagos teams in Natdex. In that format, Terapagos helps a lot against sweepers. The Natdex format banned Terra, but Terapagos still defends your team against all forms of sweepers, both predictable and unpredictable. In this replay, my team struggles a lot with Substitute and Rest Zamazenta. Fortunately, this one doesn't use Substitute on my Alomomole's Toxic, but it's still a massive threat thanks to the possibility of Rest. However, Terapagos bails me out. I'm able to force enough damage with Terra Starstorm that I'm not worried about my opponent using Rest, and I take the Zamazenta out. Terapagos helps against countless sweepers like this. Pokemon like Iron Defense Zamazenta, Dragon Dance Dragonite, Dragon Dance Curem, Swords Dance Kingambit, and so many more are extremely difficult to prepare for in SVOU. Terapagos can consistently help against all of them, no matter what Terra type they are. Terapagos can basically live any hit, and hit back hard with Terra Starstorm or one of its coverage options. And it's not just helping with sweepers. As I said, Terapagos also helps a lot with removal since it gets Rapid Spin. Rapid Spin can be blocked by ghost types, but Terapagos has incredible coverage that threatens all meta-relevant ghosts in OU. It has Ice Beam for Dragapult and Sinistcha, and Earth Power for Gholdengo, Pecharunt, and Ceruledge. It can even run Dark Pulse if you really want to hit them all super effectively, even if they Terra Ghost. In the current SVOU metagame, the two best Rapid Spin users by far, Great Tusk and Iron Treads, are way too easy to shut down. Sinistcha completely stops them both, and Gholdengo or Pecharunt can also sit on them forever with Terraghost. If your opponent really wants to stop your Great Tusk or Iron Treads from removing hazards, it's really not that hard to do so. Terapagos is a different deal. Sure, there's still stuff like Terraghost, Blissey, and Ting-Lu that would shut it down as well, but at least those options require Terra. That's a major resource your opponent is giving up. No meta-relevant ghost types can consistently stop Terapagos from removing hazards. Terapagos' ability to stop sweepers and consistently remove hazards, along with being extremely customizable thanks to all the coverage it gets, would make it an absolute godsend for team builders. It would be a healthy addition that would go a long way to fight the problems that SVOU has. So you may be wondering, if Terapagos is so healthy and amazing and such a great resource for builders and so great for the meta, why did it get banned in the first place? And to answer that, I'll show you some background footage from Ubers. The reason is Terapagos' stellar form. Terapagos can only be Terrastellar, and upon terastallizing, things get a bit out of hand. Its HP shoots up to a massive base 160, and its special attack to base 130. Its signature move, Terra Starstorm, also becomes Stellar type, meaning ghosts will be hit by it. It's not that important, but it also gets a new ability that shuts down weather and terrain. With bulk, power, and an unresisted stab like that, setup variants were almost impossible to take down in OU. Calm Mind, Meteor Beam, Rock Polish, and Rapid Spin were all used to boost stats. Despite not having any recovery, Terapagos Stellar was so bulky that leftovers often gave it the longevity it needed. Some would also run Rest plus Chesto Berry, or even Rest, Sleep Talk, Calm Mind, Terra Starstorm. Dealing enough damage to threaten this massive turtle was often an impossible task. It would use Calm Mind a few times, take nothing from your hits, and run through your team with Terra Starstorm. It was obviously too much, and so it was quick banned, and since the OU Council considered Terapagos in its base form to be the same Pokemon as Terapagos in its stellar form, its base form was banned too. In the Council's view, to ban Terapagos from using Terra and transforming into the stellar type would be a complex ban, and these are generally avoided. I don't want to get into complex bans too much since that's a separate topic, but basically complex bans are avoided because it's often very difficult to define how to balance a Pokemon. Archaludon, for example, would be fine in OU if it couldn't use Electro Shot, but isn't banning Electro Shot taking away what Archaludon is? Why then don't we allow Ho-Oh without Regenerator into OU, or allow level 70 Mewtwo? Who decides how the complex ban is implemented, and which complex bans are reasonable and which aren't? The general policy of the Council is to ban a Pokemon entirely if it's problematic, and only ban a certain move or ability if that move or ability has led to or would lead to several bans, with that move or ability as the central reason. Complex bans are a controversial topic, but whether you agree with this general idea or not isn't relevant to this video. Because I don't think letting base form Terapagos into OU is a complex ban at all. When we banned Mega Salamence in Generation 7, we still allowed regular Salamence. They weren't considered the same Pokemon since they had a different ability and different stats. It wasn't thought of as complex banning Salamence holding the Salamencite, it was just the ban of the Pokemon Mega Salamence. Same with Mega Gengar, Mega Kangaskhan, and more. Zygarde's ability Power Construct makes it turn into a 708 base stat total monster when its health goes below 50%, but we didn't ban the 486 base stat total Zygarde 10% to Ubers. So why the heck did we ban base form Terapagos? When it turns into its stellar form, it changes stats, typing, and ability. I'm not proposing we complex ban base form Terapagos to prevent it from using Terra, I'm just proposing we ban Terapagos Stellar. That has the side effect of preventing Terapagos from using Terra, sure, just like banning Zygarde Complete has the side effect of preventing Zygarde 10% from using the ability Power Construct. It's not a complex ban, it's just banning a different form, like we've done many times before. This isn't a hill I'd be dying on if Terapagos' base form was just a less problematic version of its stellar form, but it isn't. Base form Terapagos operates in a completely different way than its broken counterpart. While Terapagos Stellar has the bulk and power to pull off incredibly powerful sweeping sets, Terapagos is almost never used as a sweeper. In Nat decks, only 16% of Terapagos use Calm Mind, and this isn't even to sweep, it's just to be a less passive Rapid Spinner. Power Herb, the only set that truly indicates Terapagos is trying to sweep, is at 1% usage. I've faced it a few times, and it's not very difficult to deal with. If people did, for some reason, try to use sweeping Terapagos sets in OU, we have Pokemon like Tinglu, Garganacl, and Galarian Slowking that can easily shut it down. And that's only on the defensive side. Furthermore, since the Stellar form is banned, Terapagos would not be able to Terra. This alone makes it way less threatening as a sweeper than dozens of the sweepers we already have to deal with in OU. Realistically, 95% of the time, Terapagos would be used in OU the same way it is in Nat decks, as a rapid spin support Pokemon. So let me summarize my case. The main problems in SVOU are lack of reliable hazard removal and lack of reliable answers to unpredictable Terra sweepers. Terapagos helps significantly with both of these problems, and it would be great for team building for this reason. Terapagos being unbanned would not be a complex ban, and there is a long-standing precedent of banning powered-up forms. And lastly, Terapagos would be used almost entirely as a support Pokemon, it wouldn't be hard to answer defensively, and sweeping sets wouldn't be popular or threatening. I'm calling on the OU Council to unban Terapagos as soon as possible. I don't think that this is a matter that needs to be voted on. It's not a broken Pokemon that we're considering dropping, it's a form that nobody thought was broken but was inexplicably banned with its higher power form. This isn't a hit piece on the OU Council either. A lot of Pokemon were added in the DLC that introduced Terapagos, and the metagame needed a lot of adjustments, quickly. A lot of the decisions the council made were good, and some were mistakes. This mistake, though, has gone on long enough. Free Terapagos. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and leaving a like. I make educational competitive Pokemon content as well as metagame analyses like this. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with me on Terapagos, and why. See you next time.